Someone with firsthand knowledge of how tariffs on steel can backfire is with us now live. Former U.S. Secretary of Commerce under President George W. Bush, and also the former CEO of Kellogg's, Carlos Gutierrez, now co-chair of the Albright Stonebridge Group. Good to see you, Carlos.
Nice to see you.
You have experience on this because you joined the Bush administration shortly after President Bush had to get rid of the tariffs he had imposed because there was huge blowback from U.S. companies. Talk about that time and what happened.
Yeah, this was before my time because that was the first term. But, you know, what happened is, yes, we put in the tariffs for a couple of years. Jobs held steady for a few months. But after that, even while the tariffs were in place, jobs declined. We have to remember that jobs peaked in 1953. So what we have here is an industry that is in long-term decline. It's going to be very difficult to revitalize that industry by putting tariffs on. You know, the other thing, too, is there's been a lot of minimizing of the impact on the economy. And I'll tell you, Liz, if you just take one product and say that steel is 20% of that product, you're going to have to raise the price of that product by 5%. And, you know, you can go up from there if it's 30, if it's 40, if it's 50. So this is going to have a cascading effect. It's also going to make steel and aluminum more expensive in the U.S., which means that if you're going to build a factory, which takes a lot of steel, you'll probably build it someplace else.
Yeah, well, interesting. Let's just say that this is part of President Trump's deal-maker-in-chief sort of theory and strategy. Let's say that by saying there will be no exemptions, everybody's going to be hit with these tariffs on steel and aluminum. He knew that Mexico and China would be absolutely furious about this, and then he dangles NAFTA and the renegotiation of NAFTA in front of them and says, well, play with us on game X, and I'll lift problem Y from your issue. I will then exempt you. Let's hear exactly how Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin put that into words, and then I'll have you comment.
Yeah.
To the extent that we're successful in renegotiating NAFTA, those tariffs won't apply to Mexico and Canada. But we look forward to the president releasing the specific details and working with other people. We're not looking to get into trade wars. We are looking to make sure that U.S. companies can compete fairly around the world.
There was a play on Broadway, Carlos, called If Then. If this happens, then we'll do this. This may work. Is this a possibility?
Well, let's just say it is a negotiating tactic. The problem is that it's being done in public. And there is such thing that goes beyond the numbers and beyond the negotiation, which is national pride and national humiliation. This is just going to make Mexico and Canada dig in their heels. Why? Because it's done in such a public fashion. So, you know, we're looking for better rules of origin regionally. Perhaps we can get some of that. But I don't think we're going to come up with a different NAFTA than we would have had we not done this. If we would have done this in private, maybe. But I doubt it.
Your counterpart, who has the job now, Wilbur Ross, had been out front immediately after the president announced, hey, next week it'll happen. He was holding up cans of soup on our network. He was holding up cans of beer on other networks. And the beverage industry, they either didn't get the message or they absolutely pushed the plate away on that.
Yeah.
They do not like this at all because they import a lot of aluminum to be used in their canning.
And you know what? The way that Secretary Ross, who I have a lot of respect for, and I know him even before he joined government, he was comparing the increase in prices in pennies to the retail price at a 7-Eleven. The way businesses will do it is compare the increase in the cost as a percentage of the cost, of the cost of the product. So if steel is 20% of a product, if it goes up 25%, that product's price must go up 5%. And that's going to have a ripple effect throughout the economy.
Okay, you just talked about the ripple effect. We call it the unintended effects. You were the CEO of Kellogg's. You're also sitting on the board of Occidental Petroleum. Could both of these industries be hit? And you say that the best way is to keep it under the table discussions, just so that so that countries aren't humiliated. But
well, I think by now it's too late, because the cat is out of the bag and everyone knows what the president wants. But any industry that is in the business of building factories, of building manufacturing facilities, you can imagine the amount of steel that goes into a manufacturing facility. So what this move will do is make building a plant in the U.S. more expensive. So it's going to have an unintended consequence. It's going to be a self-inflicted wound. We may not see that over the next few months, but we'll see it over the next 2-3 years.